Now, here are some things. Walk us through this, Phil, for just a second. Here are some things, maybe not the only things, but that should be included in a good church master plan.
You know, you have some great things there, your purpose statement, your vision for your church, your core values. You know, those things that we've already talked about, the demographic study, the strategy to reach and retain, your launch needs, your first year timeline, your budget, and understand all that will change. You're not going to hit any of that right on. You're not going to be on target for any of all of that. You will some of it. But the thing I would make sure to encourage you with is that when you write that, make sure you have somebody, and Jim referred to it, make sure you have somebody that can critique that over and over. And you got to have some tough skin at times. Because, you know, I mean, when I did mine, I sent it to Ron. I was just glad that we were family, because I got so mad that I was ready to cuss him over the phone. And I said, and he said, well, yeah, but here's why I'm saying what I'm saying. And I'm going to tell you, it saved me so much. And every person that I sat and cast vision with at a table or at a coffee or whatever, I handed them that prospectus and said, okay, everything I've said to you and a little more is right here. Now, the thing that I would really encourage, when you're doing fundraising and you're trying to raise the money for your church, your salary, everything, after you give the big ask, make sure that you go back and that you say, and you give them, okay, is it okay for us to meet back in a week and a half, or can we talk next week? How much time do you think you need to pray through that? Because let me tell you, once you say, will you come on board? Will you help in recruiting? Will you help with the financial aspect? Whatever that looks like, you're probably not on their top priority list to call back. So you've got to be diligent and always going back, you know, to check to make sure, okay, have you prayed about it? Where are you? And understand, a lot of people you think are going to give to you financially or who love it, and you're going to walk away from the table going, oh my gosh, they are in, and you realize they're not in at all. And then God is going to bring you some people that you never thought that you would ever get. So don't get discouraged in that, but make sure that you are diligent in doing that all the time in this stage when you're getting ready to plant.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the generosity that Ron and the Springs and maybe some others are doing too with this $20,000 giveaway to the master plan. I mean, I wish they thought of that when we were doing this. But just from the other side of it, Harvest is pretty big now, and we get requests from church planners, and I would welcome that. I mean, but I always say, show me your plan. Show me what you're going to do with it and how you're going to do with it. I don't want to see just pie in the sky stuff. I really want to see, I'm really looking for strategy, and I'm looking for a first year budget and a timeline. Did Ron make you do that?
Oh, yeah.
And he hammered it, huh?
Oh, he did. And it was a great thing for me, because not only for me, but to hand to somebody to say, I want you to take this and read it. So
in just a minute, we're going to break, and I think Jan's going to come out and give us some directions, and we're going to do the big idea. But we've got just a few minutes before that, and just wondered if you have questions we might can answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the question was the difference between a core team, core group, and a launch team, and are there any examples of things to kind of, what would you do with a launch team? We'll talk about some of that coming up, but I'll tell you some of the things that I did and some that I've heard other folks do. One of the coolest church starts in my denomination, Methodist in South Georgia, was by a guy named Brian Gerstel. And one of the things that he did with his launch team, he was following this same model, and I was coaching him some, and I thought he had this great idea. He met with his launch team, and I think it got increasingly more and more as they got closer to the launch. But he went over stuff like this with his launch team. He got Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Church conference on videotape, and he would sit down with his launch team, and they just spend, they'd meet like an hour a week on Thursday nights or whatever, and he would just soak them with the DNA of what the new church was going to be like. This did several things. One, it really got everybody on the same page. So by the time that he launched, people knew the vocabulary, they knew the lingo, they kind of knew where his head was and where he was going. And so that really gave them some activities, not just doing the hospitality and things like that, but he was also doing some philosophy and some DNA stuff as well.
Okay, I'm going to help you so we can get a microphone. If you got a question, raise your hand, and I'll give you I'll hold the mic in front of you. How about that? Yes, sir.
You may be going over this later, so just tell me that's okay. But when it comes to your launch team, what would you say would be some of the core positions or titles or descriptions of people that you definitely want to have in your launch team leadership?
First, I would say be careful about giving anybody a position or a title, because that's, you give somebody that, it's kind of hard to take it away. I would say, and jump in here, Phil, I would say you need somebody you need a greeting team, you need greeters, you need children's team, and you may not even be doing a whole lot of Christian education in those first days, but you need a safe, clean environment for children. You need hospitality. You need parking. You need music and worship. I think those are what we started with. Did you have any others?
Yeah, and I would say for us it was preschool children, because that was who we were trying to reach, our worship, and then in our hospitality, and that had to do with parking lot, the greeters, and the cafe. And that's really all that we did. We wanted to keep it real simple, and the more simplistic, the better. And back to the guy's question here is that what we tried to do when we were doing the launch team was that our goal, we did preview services one a month. We tried to meet twice between each preview service. And I'm going to tell you, the more you can cast vision about this is who we are, this is what we're about, this is what we're going to do, and just keep, that the vision is not for sale. Ron talked about that in the earlier session. But that's what our goals were with the launch team.
Yeah. Very cool. Somebody else, question. Bro, why don't you walk to me? We'll meet halfway, like on the beach or something. That was a joke. Thank you.
When you have the launch teams, you invite each individual. Now, are they responsible for getting, say, you put a person on the ministry, on the parking ministry, and someone on the hospitality, are they going to be responsible to get their own volunteers at that time, or are you going to help them say, okay, here's such and such that could help you?
Ideally, as I'd say, it works like that. But here's a little adage, man. It has really proved true at our place. You don't get what you expect. You get what you inspect. Have you heard that before? In other words, some people they've been burned by delegation and said, delegation just doesn't work for me. Well, when somebody has done that, oftentimes it wasn't delegation, it was abdication. You know what that means? It's like, here I'm giving you a task and I'm never going to think about it again or check on it. In those early days, you may or may not know very many people. We didn't know very many people. So our launch team were strangers that we were gathering. So I would say just be as smart as you can and walk with them beside that. And the idea and the goal is for them to become recruiters and for them to be builders of teams. But you're new in that relationship with them as well, unless you're bringing somebody that you have a long, time friendship with. But I would say, just remember that thing, you get what you inspect and not what you expect. So you don't be expecting them to be recruiting if you're not checking up on them and giving them some training and some help.
Anything, Phil? Add to that?
No, I would just go and just say, the more people you can get for your launch team, they have relationships as well. And so when we were meeting, we were always saying to people, would you try to bring somebody that will help us launch? Because, see, we're still in the launch phase. We're trying just to get a launch team. We're not trying to develop members at this point. If they stay, great. But Ron was right. Everybody in our launch team, of the launch team, we have two families left that we started with. And so, but I would tell you, get them to bring in other people that will just see the vision for the church. Hey, we want you to help us for 3 preview services and a launch service. Then you can go back to your church.
Right. One of the things we did, too, with the launch piece was everybody's got friends. I want them to write the names down of the people they're going to bring. So if you're in the park, you go try to find 5 other families. Give me the names. I'm going to pray with you. Then I'm going to ask you about them, Jim's idea. And part of what you're going to find out here, who the leaders are and who the worker bees are. You need both. But leaders, you'll see them start enlisting. And then you find some stuff out there. So that's the fun time, because leadership emerges. You don't know who the leader is till you see a crisis, and it's always fun to hand them something and see what happens on the other side of that.
On the next page is the big idea. We ready to, are we ended at 12?
You're good, baby. You want me to leave? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to go eat.
Okay. I'm done.
The big idea, I really am glad this has been incorporated in this. At Harvest, what we do after every message on Sunday, we have next steps that are suggested, and we really want people to apply. What's something, maybe the Lord's been talking to you, maybe there's just one idea, don't get overwhelmed, but what's one big idea you can walk away from this session? Are there next steps that you can do? Thank you for having us.